When you returned to the Bulls after playing baseball, there were some new guys on the team.
I was anxious to understand who my teammates were. My mindset was to go, try to get back and win. Anytime that, when I left in '93, I left on top in terms of winning. I was coming back in '95, halfway in the season, and still my mentality was about winning. So I felt compelled, once I got to know those guys, to kind of push them to understand, okay, we're not in the bottom anymore, we're on top. And when you're on top, everybody's coming at you. So you have to be prepared. You got to be ready to play. I know at that time, they hadn't won. A lot of those guys have never won in terms of the, world championship or something to that magnitude. And so I knew it was going to take some learning for them to understand that. That's where my role became very vital, to lead and to give them that, that knowledge that they need. When I say I led based on, physically. I get out there, first one there, last one to lead, work on my skill set, blah, blah, blah. Listen to what the coach, try to, do whatever the coach is asking. That was the leadership that I wanted everyone to see, and then reinforce it with my voice when I felt the necessary need to do so. Making sure mentality-wise, to be aggressive, have that killer instinct, in that, you want to dominate, because you want that dominance to be shown. You want that intimidation to be shown in competition. It's not a negative thing. It's always a positive thing in terms of, how you utilize it. But when you have people like myself who are somewhat aggressive, we live in every moment, we want to dominate every little moment, and we forget about how simple life is, how simple the moment may be. Look, I think there was a lot of situations where people were, somewhat critical in terms of the way that I perceived it, and but I had a mission. I wanted them to understand what it took to win, and winning has a price. And the thing is that, I wanted to make sure they were prepared for the worst, especially in competition. And I'm pretty sure there were times they were not happy with me. I think if you look back now, I'm pretty sure they are, based on how we achieved and the successes that we were able to overcome. And but as a leader, you sometimes you're not going to be well liked. You're not going to be, but you have to pull them along, because you've experienced it, you understood it. The other side of that road is success, and I think that the gratification would be there once we get over that hill. And I felt that, and I can sense some of that coming from my teammates. But the thing is that for us to be successful, someone had to do that. Especially from a leadership role.
Did you sometimes wish that you didn't have to be like that?
Yes. Only because I felt like everybody, you would assume that everybody had the same mentality as I had, and that every day you're the first one in the gym, last one to leave. You live within the moment. You strive for perfection each and every time you step on the basketball court. But unfortunately, everybody don't have that same mentality. And if they did, then it makes my job so much easier. It's like looking at a mirror of 11 or 12 people. And unfortunately, the world is not made that way. And sometimes you have to push, pull, or do whatever you need to get over that hill. And the gratification is always going to be in the work. And once the work is done, and you see where the achievement has been met. So yeah, I wish I could have laid back and enjoyed it as much as everybody else, but that doesn't guarantee us success. That doesn't say we're going to win. So I had to do what I had to do. But you have to be capable every single night for us to maintain the success. So I pushed him. Obviously, I did, and verbally, I would challenge him in certain situations where I felt like, look, you're not doing what we expect you to do. And I would welcome that too. For my, if they see that I was doing something that they pretty much expected, and I was taking shortcuts, which wasn't too often, I'm pretty sure that I was open. Phil would criticize me. Other teammates would criticize me. And the purpose of improving, and the purpose of being a good teammate, and the purpose of being a good team is, we all have to look in the mirror and understand, okay, what can I do better to make this team better? And we also have to be willing to accept constructive criticism. Nothing personally. We hung out, we had fun, we would joke around, it's nothing personal. But in competition, when you're trying to, exceed and be successful, we have to hold each other accountable. That's what teammates do. And it's nothing really personal about it. I was able to learn and watch and analyze how he built his relationship, coexist in his personalities and his friends and things of that nature, that, okay, I could take bits and pieces of that. Now, could I change my personality? I can't. But at least I can have a better understanding for how other people are thinking, so it can alter my thought process and how I would adapt to certain people. So yeah, I learned things from Luc. I learned things from other players. But my personality was always going to be dominant no matter what, but at least it was a consideration to understand and appreciate who I'm playing with and what gets them to tick, and how do you relate and have a relationship with them. I mean, those are things that I had to make adjustments to. And a hug is probably more than a yell. A pat on the back is probably more than a punch. That type of thing. And then once we were able to understand, okay, this is Michael Jordan, he's going to be aggressive. This is Luc, he's going to be somewhat passive, but you got to pull him along. Steve Kerr, you got to give him encourage. Dennis, you got to pull him in every now and then. He's going to be Dennis. Scotty's going to be Scotty. Once we understood how the players were on that team, it clicked. No wonder we won 72 games, the following year. And then, we was able to maintain, what we did pretty much in the second three-peat. But it took a process, so it was much harder.
Now, your desire to win and your toughness on the team as a result of that is absolutely legendary and was explored in The Last Dance. Luc described your leadership style as carnivorous. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that from his perspective. Quite naturally, yes, I can see that. And look, I didn't go in there with that mentality. That's how it's gonna. It's just so. My mentality was to win at all costs. And pull, push, yank, whatever, to get everybody on the same page. And I understand it. And the thing is that if I were to change my personality back, to something totally different, I wouldn't be who I would have been. I don't think we would have had the same successes. I think a lot of players probably wouldn't have been the same in terms of their perspective. So yeah, I can see him saying that. But the thing is that I think it was needed in some respect, and I think our success illustrates that. I miss seeing, that face that's never going to be sad no matter what happens. I think the thing that was in amazement of every time I'd spin and see Luc, it was a shock to see someone, he was looking at me and I could feel this coming from him, is that how can one person be so competitive each and every day and blah, 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 and yet he doesn't seem like he's enjoying life. When actually I was enjoying the competition. That was my enjoyment. I sensed that sometimes when he used to look at me, and just kind of, and I didn't take it negatively. I took it as a badge of honor. I take my job seriously. I take my competitive nature very seriously. Part of my struggles after the game is my competitive drive. I was such a competitive player, and each and every day felt the need to always get ahead of my opponent. Well, when you're out of sports and you're in in normal life, you don't shed that armor that you actually have coated yourself with, based on your lifestyle and that work ethic. It's just, you have to find your way around it, and that's frustrating, and sometimes that's even tough, because of the competitive nature that I have. I look at everything from a competitive nature, and I tell my wife all the time is that I'm cursed. I'm cursed from a competitive standpoint that, I cannot watch or compete or be a part of things without competition, and that's something that, I live with today, but I would not want to live without, because I think it says so much about me and helped me define who I really want or was or am and attain all the things I really wanted. Now it's the challenge is to calm those nerves. That's why I do a lot more fishing now. I would have never thought I would get on a boat and go fishing. But the competition of patience and being, trying to catch a fish, trying to be patient, it's not going to happen. You can't make it happen. You just have to be ready when it does happen. Those are all things that I think calms me down a lot more than if I'm playing a sport, if I'm playing golf or if I'm doing anything competitive. Because I think that, that's what I need. That's the therapy that I need to help soothe some of this competitive juices that I have.